Hey there, this is Andrew bringing you another Keyforge deck reveal and review of a Dark Tidings deck. Alright, this is Genwyrm, the Slimy Spymaster. Hold up 1 second, I want to make sure my thing doesn't turn off. Alright, there we go. Sometimes it likes to turn off in the middle if I don't press buttons. So this is Genwyrm, the Slimy Spymaster. I'm going to guess we have Shadows, Star Alliance, Logos. We got Shadows and Star Alliance, but Untamed, not Logos. So, all right. So mostly, I think the Star Alliance is going to give us some efficiency, but probably in the form of letting us use creatures, not so much deck efficiency necessarily. So we'll probably be mostly playing cards as we get them, but hopefully getting extra uses out of things. Some damage, baseboard control, some steal, and then some burst. So that's the hope anyway. I think Star Alliance Untamed can be a really fun combo. Um, there are some fun combos with Shadows and Untamed too. If you get the Shadows steal creatures like Brend uh, and Hard Simpson with Recursion in Untamed, then sometimes you can get a lot of value. All right, so early birds. I don't love this card, but it can be interesting, I guess. So it's 2 Amber Pips. That's what makes it decent in my mind. It has alpha, and then it has play ready each Shadows card. And that's the part that just seems really bonkers to me because there's usually not a lot of value in readying a card at the start of your turn. Obviously, against Dark Tidings, there's some cards that might exhaust stuff, but it's just not normal. So, um, yeah, the chances of this doing much for you seem pretty low to me, but getting 2 Amber is not bad. And then, of course, it's an Infernus target. Uh, last time I opened one of these, I got 2. I did not love that, so glad to see only 1. Mole is a very interesting upgrade. It has an Amber, and it says that the creature gets your opponent may spend Amber on this creature as if it were in their pool. This is really nice to put on an opponent's Crassosaurus or something like that. So that's a nice card. Borrow lets us take an artifact. That's great. Miasma Bomb, don't love it. Enhance with the damage. It has action destroy it. Your opponent skips the Forge of Key Step during their next turn. But usually in Shadows, I'd rather just steal them down anyway. And the fact that this is so slow typically makes it worse than Miasma Bomb, or than straight up Miasma in my view. Some might disagree, think it's nice that you can leave it out there. It also means it's more likely your opponent can use it. So I just don't love it, but hey, it's all right. The Fly Inspector, also not something I love. Uh, Action steal 1 if the tide is high. That's great, but all your opponent has to do is raise the tide and it's destroyed, and that just seems not terribly useful. So, and you have to have the tide raised to do it. So if it's like your opponent has the tide and you play it, great, they can't destroy it right away, but you get 1 use out of it, and then it's toast. Francis the Economist, all right, interesting. We've got Hard Simpson here. That could be good. We'll see what support we get. We haven't seen any plinky damage yet, but getting a couple damage plinkers with him can be really good. He's new in the set, so I'll just cover. He's 4-power elusive. After he's dealt damage, you steal 1, but if the tide is low, your opponent steals instead. Only got 1 of those, then we get a Hobnobber. 3-power Elf Thief with action. If your opponent has 6 or more, steal 2. That's okay. Obviously, if they're going past 6, going to 6, they probably will want to kill that, and it's not hard to kill. Jackie Tar, some board control if it reaps. It's okay. We've got Mug. Action with an Amber. You move 1 from a creature to your pool and deal 2 damage to that creature. That could potentially be a way to get that plink onto Hard Simpson, but just the one, that's underwhelming. Got a second mug. I mean, these can be nice in some situations. We don't have a ton of steel here. We have a couple of ways to steal, but just not a lot of reliable steel. We're more bursting in shadows, actually. Oh, there's a sea urchin, though. That's a way to steal. And so capture one when you play it, but if the tide is high, you steal instead. That's good. And then actually, I think poison is better than elusive here, so it's better. I would say it's better than standard urchin. All right. Now this is interesting. We're into Star Alliance now, and we get Ceaseforge. So this is an artifact with an amber. It's a law, and when you play it, you put 2 time counters on it. Players can't forge keys. So as long as it's out, players can't forge keys. But at the start of your turn, you remove a time counter from Ceaseforge, then destroy it if there are no time counters on it. So you play it, you put the 2 counters on it. At the start of your next turn, you remove a counter. It's fine. The start of your next turn, you remove a counter, and then it gets destroyed. But that happens before the forge a key step. So that means that if if you are on 2, your opponent's on 2, they were going to forge. You play this, it can give you some time to catch up, and that is a good thing. So yeah, Ceaseforge is a really nice card. Ooh, and we have Forging an Alliance, also another way to burst a key. I mean, if you get the Ceaseforge down and then just burst, you could get to the point where Ceaseforge breaks, you forge 1 key, and then forge another one with Forging an Alliance. So what does this do? It's an action with an amber. When you play it, you forge a key at +7 of the current cost, reduced by 1 for each house represented among cards in play, to a maximum of 6. So in the best case scenario, you're forging for +1 cost, and which is offset by the amber. So you have to have the 6 to start. Yeah, and that's a good effect. I mean, getting to forge a key in the middle like that, and maybe you paid 3 extra instead of 1 extra. That's still pretty good in the right circumstance. So that's a great card to see, and I think combining that with Ceaseforge is really interesting. All right, Cheetah is a 3-power robot with elusive. But while the tide is high, each of its neighbors gains elusive. It's interesting to me. It's a robot. It's not. It can be played as an upgrade. It helps its neighbors. Ooh, Lay of the Land. Always like to see that. That's a good way to filter through the deck. Ambervac. It's an upgrade. When you play it, you raise the tide, and it gives the creature at the start of your turn. If the tide is high, capture 2. That's very nice. Biome Discovery is an action that raises the tide, or if the tide's already high, you look at the top 2 cards of your deck and discard 1. I wish that were a better effect. I just don't think that's that great of an effect, so I just don't love Biome Discovery that much. I guess if you play it right before Lay of the Land, then it could get you to something good, but I don't love it. We got a second one. Then we have Lieutenant Kirkar, who's a 5-power alien hand with Taunt and Hazardous 3. Nice little bit of board control there. I feel like we haven't seen a ton of creatures here. Yeah, we haven't seen a ton, so having a nice big Taunt with Hazardous like that is nice. Lieutenant Valmart. Play Fight Reap. If the tide is high, keys cost +3 during your opponent's next turn. That's very nice. Operative Espeon. Maybe you get an extra use out of a creature that way, but your opponent can do it too if they raise the tide, so beware. Ooh, we've got Rocketeer Triska, who is a 4-power human that says, while the tide is high, her neighbors enter play ready. That's a great ability. And we've got a damage pip here, which I guess came from the Miasma Bomb. So yeah, always happy to see her in a deck. Technobabble is an action with an amber that'll stun a creature in each of its neighbors that shares a house with it. Yeah, nice board control there. Just interesting here, not a lot of board control yet. I mean, we got the stun, got some damage, can take an artifact, but really not a lot of ways to control the board. So just always something to be worried about, Ooh, Washed Away. That is interesting. It's a rare. It's an action. It has an amber. It says, play if the tide is high, destroy each artifact. Otherwise, raise the tide. Um, so more good artifact control there. It's also a Tide Razor if we need it. Um, the Borrow can't destroy an artifact, so in the case of something like a Quixelstone, maybe washed away is really important. Um, yeah, what artifacts do we have that we'd be really upset to lose? I mean, Ceaseforge, but it's going away anyway, so situational. If you have to not play washed away, you just don't play it. Flying Spectre was going to die anyway. Miasma Bomb was going to die anyway. So I think this is great. That's a great card. Then we've got a Growth Surge. Yep, gives a +3, +2, +1. Has an Amber. That's great. Assert Dominance lets us give a creature skirmish and then ready and fight with it. That's pretty cool. That could get us a Walmart trigger on an Untamed turn. It could get us anything else good. An extra Amber from Francis if we're ahead. I mean, that's a little risky. Um, ooh, Chelonia early. Okay, so we're into commons already. So 4 cards in, we're into the commons. And Chelonia is great. Chelonia is a 2-power beast witch with elusive. After you play another creature, if the tide is high, gain 1. It's better than Hunting Witch. So yeah, really excited to see Chelonia. Got 2 Chelonias. Okay, that's good. 2 Chelonias is good. We don't get a third, but 2 is really good. Then we have Deepwater Groon. Um, has the 2 Amber Pips. Better than Fuzzy Groon because it only gives your opponent the 1 if the tide is low. So that's nice. It also triggers that again when it reaps, but um, again, against non-Dark Tidings decks, I don't think that's going to be a big problem. And yeah, there's some burst coming on here. I like it. Okay, that's our only Deepwater Groon, but then we have Flume, another creature to trigger the Chelonias. Infighting gives us some board control. Okay. Um, not totally reliable, but can be pretty good for board control, so that's all right. We've got Mookling, which can raise key costs. Mookling, now this is actually really exciting to have Mookling with the Growth Surge and the Chillinese with the Growth Surge as well, because there's a decent chance that, like, I mean, you play like 2 Chillinese and the Mookling, and then you Growth Surge. You've now increased the opponent's key cost by 5, and you have some large, difficult to kill elusive Chilonias. So very nice if we can work that out. Reap or Sow, another way to make the Mookling bigger if that's right, or just get an extra Reap in. Again, that could trigger the Walmart. That could trigger. That could actually trigger some nice effects off of Jackie Tar. I guess that'd be really the only good Reap effect here. Got another Reap or Sow. Okay. Ooh, Way of the Pixie. That's very nice with Reaper So because it gives us the chance to like drop Way of the Pixie on a creature, like drop this on to Jackie Tar and then Reaper So gain 2 and kill something, right? So, all right. So let's see here. We have. I'm just gonna count these as 1 amber each. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not gonna count those yet. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 amber just for playing cards in whatever order. Order doesn't matter, and we're gonna get 19 amber from playing through these cards. We have a few things that care about the tide, but not much, and we have 3, 4 cards that could raise the tide. So there's a pretty decent chance that we're going to have it high most of the time. We've got a Ceaseforge with a key cheat. So potentially, like, your opponent is threatening key 3, you drop the Ceaseforge, you burst, you burst again, you have 25 amber, they have 100 amber, but they still can't forge. Your turn runs around, Ceaseforge dies, you forge, and then you forge with forging an alliance, and that could be pretty good. So um, you don't. There's not a ton of amber control in here. There's a little bit of steel, not a ton, but you don't necessarily need to care that much if you can do, if you can do the shenanigans in the right order and pull off the things. So, but now I will say, other than like lay of the land and the biomes, the biome discoveries, there's not a lot in here of deck manipulation, so you really are just going to end up playing cards as you get them. Not a ton of board control. That's a little bit of a liability. But it's interesting. I really like this deck. I'm going to say it's probably like a 74. So I'm going to pause and see. All right, so my guess was 74. I really spent uh, for not reading all the cards all the way through. This is kind of a long video, so kind of geeked out on this deck. And I saw what it is already, so there you go. It is a 65. Why? There's low speed, yep, totally. Um, really high expected amber, 30 is very high, and then uh, 11A is not bad. So I think where it's really struggling is this is pretty low creature control. The artifact control is great, but the creature control, the board presence are the areas where it's going to struggle, which I think is pretty reasonable rating. 4 to 12. Um, a lot of cards that says use the tide, but that's bogus. Like biome discovery, I wouldn't count as using the tide. So I don't know. I think this is a little bit underrated. I think it'll perform better than that. Maybe it's not a 74, but probably around a 70. I'd be happy to put it up against something in the 70 range. And I think it would do great. So yeah, and the fact that it has the Ceaseforge with the Forging Alliance, I think that's pretty good. So anyway, that's that. This was Genwyrm, the slimy Spymaster. You could even work it out longer. Like the turn the Ceaseforge pops, you go shadows and you pop the Miasma Bomb. That gives you an extra turn. It comes back to you, and then go Forging an Alliance. I don't know. It seems pretty good to me. Anyway, but that was Genwyrm, the slimy Spymaster. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed looking through it, and I hope you'll get out and forge some keys.